finished with high school, I had only done, handfuls of healing, but on people that were terminal cancer patients, and they all lived. So I just thought that was normal, Terminal doesn't mean anything. It just means that you're giving up a ghost so you can go back to heaven or whatever. So now I'm 17 years old, and my father wants me to go to college, and I'm bucking the system, going, I really don't need to go to school, because what I'm going into is music, and I'm a rock and roll guitarist, and I thought I was going to be the next, Jimmy Hendrix or something. So what do I need to go to school for? I've already got it, and I joined a band, and we're traveling, but I'm also enrolled in school, but my father doesn't know I'm not really going to school, I'm just enrolled. And, but I go home to, at night to party with the other kids. So I don't know, have any of you ever done anything really stupid in your life?
No, a couple of thousand times.
My friends and I decided to party it out one night, and to make a long story short, the party didn't go well. My friend and I went and drank a 24-pack of beer between ourselves, and we woke up in the morning and a huge giant bottle of tequila, which was full the night before, was gone. So I had poisoning, alcohol poisoning, and died. Wasn't a good way to start off a 17-year-old's year in first year of school.
In a rock and roll band.
And I don't think the ceiling in the bedroom that I had in the basement of this house was any taller than this, but I'm laying on the bed, passed out, and all of a sudden I'm looking at my body. And I'm thinking I'm having some sort of a dream. I have no idea what's going on. But I'm moving up through the ceiling, and I feel like, oh my gosh, I can't go through the ceiling. Then I realized that I'm somewhere else. And I always said that it's the most clueless feeling when you go into the astral plane. However, later the guide said this is what they call a fourth dimension. It's where you go when you immediately die. It's another dimension where souls, light bodies, and all that means doesn't really seem like a very hospitable place, in my opinion. It was filled with all kinds of life forms and whatnot. But when I was in that realm, I discovered I didn't like it there very well. And so I wanted to, just skedaddle. But there was something attracting me like a light. And so all of a sudden I'm rising into this tunnel. And this is somewhat similar to tunnel. This is an art piece that my wife made, a painting, she had it this way, but it was called Now. And when I first met her, this was about 15, 16 years ago, I walked into her house and I see this picture and I went, wow, I'm home.
What did she think?
Well, I had a lot of explaining to do. At that time I hadn't told her about my life, after that experience. But when I saw this light, I seemed to be advancing into it, and at an alarming speed. I don't know how fast you could say fast was, but I've never experienced this sort of speed. I've traveled in a car 100, 110 miles an hour, and I felt pretty fast as I watched the telephone poles going by, but this was extremely fast. And all of a sudden I'm in this just beautiful place. So it made the other place seem like hell, like I had taught in the Bible. And this other place seems like heaven. But I find out it's really just the sixth dimension, and I'm going back to where your soul resides. And that's all that's in the sixth dimension. It's just a stomping ground for souls to be. I always thought, I've read books that there were, a lot of dimensions, but at that point I didn't have any really interest in all this stuff. And in the sixth dimension, I meet my spirit guide. It's called the Father Guide, the one that stays with you for your entire life. And we carry a number of guides with us throughout our lifetime. But some of them we don't get to see and experience connection with them very often. Whereas the Father Guide is always there throughout your whole lifetime. The first question that comes to mind is, how boring is that got to be? To sit for 60 to 80 years with somebody and follow their career. And right away they were explaining, well, in this dimension, there is no time. It's hard to describe, but time is irrelevant. And in this dimension, it's like a blink. So your personal life, you know, almost fast forwards for them. And so it's not a boring job, it's just something that these entities do. So now that I'm, you know, there and I'm happy where I'm at, I don't want to go back to my body and this miserable earth and this life that I was living. And I really hadn't experienced anything. So I'm arguing with my spirit guide, and I said, well, I want to speak to the man in charge. And you know, I was born a Christian, so I wanted to speak to Jesus, and all of a sudden an entity comes forth, and it's a light being, but I immediately apply the facial features of Jesus onto this, because that's, I think, how we do it. And if we had met an energy that we believed was our ancestors, we'd apply their face to it. What's interesting about that is we see the face in their prime and not the last that we saw of them, not when they're 96 years old and all wrinkled up. We see them as they would have been in their prime of their youth. But I saw Jesus, and I'm going to argue with him, saying, oh, I don't want to go back, and you know, blah, 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 blah. And I have a lot of questions. And I remember that he said, well, I understand. And he does some sort of a wave in front of me, and all of a sudden, this is how they communicate. Everything is just sort of downloaded telepathically. And you have understandings that you've never had before. And he tells me, we're going to give you a life review, and you can look at some of your work that you're going to be doing, and then you're going back. So I do all this. I'm seeing where I was, getting a life review of where I'd been. Now I'm curious about reincarnation. And they're saying, well, we can show you different lives and things you've worked on. So I'm seeing reviews of different places, not just Earth, but different galaxies, different beings. I mean, it's, you can't even put into words some of the creatures that we do become. What I found was most interesting is we've all lived not hundreds of lives, but an untold number, because the universe is very old. And for me, they said it was equivalent to 330-some thousand or something like that I've lived. Which isn't unusual. I guess there's people that have lived millions, in fact. So now I'm arguing that, well, I'm still not quite convinced that I'm going to go back, and all of a sudden I'm in front of a council, and I don't know how I got there. There's these giant beings in chairs, 4 of them. And I thought, oh no, now all hell's going to rain down on me, and they're going to judge me. But I'm standing in front of these 4 giant beings that look humanoid to me. And I'm asking, well, what am I supposed to do? And they said, no, you're the one that's getting questioned. It's your questions. So I'm talking to all 4 of these beings, and they're telling me but there's more. What else do you want to say? And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm judging myself here. There's nobody judging me. I'm judging myself. And so now all of a sudden I'm starting to see their point of view, which I didn't know what it was or how they even communicated to me, but it's clear. I need to go back and finish my journey. And they're telling me things like, you're going to get married, you're going to have kids, you're going to start a business, it'll be a big business. And when you're a little older, you're going to go on your spiritual journey. But they didn't say I was going to write a book. They didn't tell me about any of this stuff. I just knew that I had time to do whatever I want to do. It's my choice. It's a free gift. And that's what life is. It's a gift that's been given to us, and some of us don't appreciate it until we have something horrible that happens. And when it does happen, we're looking out into the world and saying, how do I make it a better place for other people? How do I bring these understandings to other people? But if I do, I'm going to get burned at the stake. And all these thoughts going in my mind. So now I'm no longer going to go to school in this little town in Williston, North Dakota. And my grandparents come within a few days of me having this near-death experience. And this place, this basement, is just littered with beer cans and potato chip boxes. And it was just a sight. And they thought, David, you need to get better friends.
I've been a teenager.
Yeah.